Welcome to the Business Growth Spotlight, where we shine the light and talk with business leaders from all over the world who are here sharing their wisdom and expertise so we can all grow together. I'm your host, Heidi Schalk, co-founder of HLH Growth Solutions, and I'm excited to be bringing my guest here with you today. We're going to dive into some great conversation. If you're new to the podcast, welcome. I'm excited to have you here with us. And stick around to the end because we have a special gift for you. But without further ado, I want to introduce you to our guest today, Dr. John Oberg with John Oberg Advisory. So welcome, Dr. John, to the podcast.
Thank you so much for having me. I'm really excited to be here.
I'm excited to talk with you. So can you kick us off and tell us a little bit about yourself, your company, and your role within it?
Yeah, I founded John Oberg Advisory, quite some time ago. And over my career, I've been a CEO of companies and founded companies along the way. And this company is really about helping other people meet their dreams and their goals in their businesses. And so we're a small advisory firm that serves companies anywhere from, one of the largest organizations in the world all the way down to pre-revenue startups. And it really is about working with the people that I'm excited to work with. I've got a team of people that I work with, my partner, Christian Jalloway, my chief of staff, Ryan Wilgeroth, and then a number of other coaches and consultants that help us to deliver all the value that we deliver. But, we're looking to work with the people that we're excited about working with almost entirely by referral these days. So
that's amazing. Having all referrals is fantastic. So, John, your advisory brand centers on the intersection of people and performance. So how did you land on that focus? And why do you believe it's so critical for organizational growth?
yeah, I think for me, there was a time when I ran an organization very early in my career. I had about 1,300 people that worked and reported up into me through about 50 managers. And I had 12 people directly reporting to me. And during that part of my career, I would tell you that I was fairly transactional. And I think people that worked with me during that time of my career, if they looked back, they would have said that maybe I could have been more effective as a leader if I'd been a little bit less transactional. And there was a lot of quid pro quo, like, hey, I'll do this for this person, but what can they do for me? And it wasn't conscious at that point in my life. It was subconscious. And it took me, reflection years later to recognize like, oh, I really told people I cared about them and I really did care about them, but I was trying to kind of meet them in the middle. And I think a better approach is to meet someone where they are and hopefully they meet you where you are, but it's everyone goes 100% to the other person. And so when we talk about like what are the foundational parts of relationship in business, which I think are foundational to many relationships outside of the business world, it's really responsibility and accountability are the floor you stand on. And then you have to think through like what's the appropriate acceptance. And I mean radical acceptance. Like, do I radically accept that you may have a different position than I have? And if I disagree, that's fine, but I need to accept that you're coming from a different point of view. Am I willing to then also be someone who gives you the benefit of the doubt? Like, am I going to give you like, hey, the best intent at every turn unless you give me enough data points to not do that? Then I also want to make sure that I'm willing to be trustworthy. Like when you share with me, am I actually going to hold those confidences appropriately in the business world? And am I willing to be vulnerable? Like if we set up an environment where I can share mistakes so we can work through them together. And those 4 points on top of responsibility and accountability create the foundation of healthy professional relationships in my experience.
So do you work, let's talk about ICP real quick, just so the people listening, do you have a specific type of or ICP, or are you pretty agnostic across who you work with?
When you say ICP, like your ideal client profile
Ideal
is what you're
yeah.
talking about for us. Yeah, for us, we work with customers who are generally referred into us. So I have a lot of work in healthcare, for example. My partner does a lot of nonprofit and institutional work. We've worked with like large governments and large institutions. And so we've kind of worked everywhere. But when someone refers somebody into us, what we're looking for is somebody who has a level of commitment to growth and getting better at what they do. And that doesn't have to be business growth. It just be personal growth. It can be that. Most people have lots of business growth they want to have as well. And then they genuinely have to be doing things that are good in the world, whether they're just making life better for their family or for the world much more broadly. Like they have to be doing something good. Like those are the things that we really look for. And again, all by referral for us.
So many advisory firms, they lean heavily on data and frameworks. but you emphasize human dynamics. So how do you balance objective measurement with subjective insight in your work?
It's a really fantastic question. People who work with us for a long time would joke with you that I have a framework for everything inside my organization. We love frameworks, but we want to make sure that those frameworks are applied appropriately, right? So, like when you have a nail, grab a hammer. When you have a screw, grab a screwdriver, and be really, really clear that you want to grab the right screwdriver. And so, it's about knowing how to meet people where they are in that professional relationship, including, it's sometimes letting people move on to their next part of their career outside the company. I'm not a fan of, like, fire people, fire people, fire people. But the reality is that sometimes people are not in their best fit position. And one of the most kind things you can do is help people find their path in their career and help them get onto that path, even if that path means it's not with you and your company anymore, which is a real divergence from where I was early in my career. Early in my career, I really wanted people to work with me, work with me, work with me. And then I realized, like, if I can help people on their career path, the more people I can help them get what they want, the easier it is for me to get good things in my life. So I really am now really focused on, like, how do I help you find what it is that you really want from your perspective, not mine? And how do I help you get it?
Hmm. So let's talk blind spots. Because there's always blind spots. What are some of the
Yeah.
common blind spots you see in executives or leadership teams that hamper alignment, trust, or execution? And how do you and your company help them surface and address those?
Yeah, I think one of the biggest blind spots is in first line management. People don't really understand first line management well, particularly around accountability. And there's a very big confusion between power and accountability. And I think accountability is genuinely seen as mostly negative, where accountability also should have some parts of rewarding good behavior more than just kind of um, using the stick for bad behavior, if you will. And so we talk a lot about coaching, and not coaching like life coaching or executive coaching, which we also do in our organization, and not coaching like Little League, but like, what is a manager called to do when they're coaching? And so what we would tell you is that you need to evaluate someone's skill sets when they're coaching. You need to evaluate their belief systems. You need to evaluate how they're prioritizing their time, and you need to evaluate, are they putting enough effort in? And if you look at those four areas of individual contribution, and then you really only use discipline during the work effort phase. Like, if someone's not working hard enough, you use discipline. But if someone doesn't have skill, discipline doesn't help that problem. Training does. If someone has the wrong belief system, training doesn't solve that problem. Going through a cognitive exercise to fix the belief system does. And if someone's not prioritizing things, discipline may be a part of the answer, but oftentimes it's experience that is required. And so bringing the right tool to bear is really important when it comes to first line management. And oftentimes executives want their first line managers to do that naturally. But that's not a natural skill set. That's a learned management skill set. So just like being a functional contributor in accounting or sales or marketing is a learned skill set, so is management. And so people have to be really, my opinion, really skillful at teaching management to first line managers and knowing what to ask them to do. Like, I would never ask a first line manager to write the process. I would ask them to enforce the process. I would ask a director to improve the process, and I'd ask a vice president to write the process. And that's the differentiation between a first line manager and an officer.
So you mentioned earlier, John, that you work with different types of organizations. So you've worked with organizations in the healthcare space, nonprofits, growing startups, and large enterprises. How does your advisory approach shift depending on the scale, the mission, or the culture of your clients?
Yeah, I think just like anything, if you have a team of three or four people, it's one set of dynamics that exist. And so if, like, two people, there's one line between them. Three people, there's three lines between them. Four people, there's 12 lines between them. And it goes on and on and on, right? And so, like, that's the number of communication lines. And then we know sociologically that humans can interact with about 150 people without some type of technical support, right? So communities of people, if you go back 20,000 years, used to be about 150 people. But today we have to be interacting with, I mean, some companies have 30,000 people in them, right? So you have to use some type of leverage to then influence larger groups. Right. And so you get to things like internal communication. There's different power dynamics, internal, politics, right? So, and you have to help people navigate some of those things. And so I think each organization has its own personality, its own culture, its own core values. And then, of course, the size of the company is one dynamic among many.
So I'd like to get your opinion and your advice. What's one piece of advice you'd give to leaders who want to lead with authenticity and relational strength, but feel pressured by performance metrics or urgency?
I think those things have to resolve together. I think one of the things I hear from people is about like authenticity and transparency. And I think, in my view, a real misunderstanding around that. If I'm frustrated about something, it's not authentic for me to vent to you about that. That's just emotional immaturity. Like
Mm.
if I'm having a feeling about something, I need to process that myself as an executive or handle it in the appropriate time. And sure, maybe I might want to share that with you at some point in the future, but sharing with you my concerns about that like, that's not authenticity. That's that's emotional immaturity. And so authenticity is about understanding what your core values are, living within those core values, bringing those conversations to bear in a healthy professional. Not saying you can't ever share those things in a professional environment, just saying there's a right way and a wrong way to do that. And I was having a conversation today with some people about transparency. Transparency without context, it's unkind. If you tell somebody the financial position of a company and they've never had any training in how to read a financial statement, you may freak them the heck out when things are actually really good. Or
Yeah.
you might give them the impression that there's a whole bunch of money to spend when things are really tight. And so if you're not giving people context with the information, you're not being transparent, you're being unkind. And so I think there's these notions of what good leadership is that sometimes aren't explained, and people just lean right into them without understanding what they mean or how to do it correctly. And so those are some of the big misconceptions we try to fix with leaders.
I'd love to talk about growth because you have a lot of experience in business now. So can you share with us with growing your company and your business, what are some of the ways that you're able to stand out amongst your competition? I'm sure you have some other companies that do similar to what you do in your space. So how are
Yeah,
you marketing wise? You live a lot on referrals right now, but when
yeah.
you first started and to get to where it's all referral based now, I'm sure you had to move through some different channels or try different things. What are some of the things you tried that worked? And then maybe on the flip side, what are
Yeah.
some of the things that you're like, no, that didn't work for us?
Yeah, and maybe I'll share a little bit of my other. So I run two companies right now. I have this consulting firm, but I also run a medical practice. And the medical practice is based on the work I did in behavioral health to get my doctorate to cure type 2 diabetes, not cure type 2 diabetes, to actually put type 2 diabetes into remission is the clinical term. But we take people who are really sick with type 2 diabetes and we make them not sick, and we do it really fast. And so we take their clinical values, it's called hemoglobin A1C, anything above 6.5 in you have diabetes. We take people from like 9 and 10, which is really sick, and get them below 6.5 really fast, like 12 weeks. And then we built a business around that. Well, this is a multi-trillion dollar industry. $1 in $7 in healthcare spent on diabetes related things,
Wow.
which means it's really noisy. And there's lots and lots of marketing. And so for all of the growth work that I've done over the last 20 some years, this has been really hard because there's so much noise in the market. So what we've had to do is make sure we have the product right. We really understand it. We have the financial model right. We really understand it. And now we've got to go out and say, okay, now that we have the product, we know that it's working. We have, clinical evidence that it's working. Now we've got to figure out the marketing. What's the messaging? All those things that they teach in business school that we have to go do. And then we've got to just be relentless about that. And so our scaling is about first prototyping, and then we do process engineering to make sure that we're only creating processes around things that work, and then we're ready to scale. Oftentimes, where people miss when they're scaling is they jump right to like process. I heard a company recently like, let's go hire 20 salespeople. It's like, great. How many times have you sold something? Do you know what your sales and marketing process is? Do you have enough leads for 20 salespeople? Oh, well, they'll get the leads. Well, that's not getting leads is broadly speaking, not a salesperson's job. That's the marketing team's job. Right. And so making sure that all the systems are set up for scaling is a really important first step. Does that help?
Absolutely, greatly. It helps greatly. So thank you. And thank you for letting us, bringing your other company into it to kind of give a different perspective around that because it's extremely helpful. So
Oh, and,
what's
and by the way,
next?
let me say this too, having the right goals matters. My goal for my consulting firm is to be big enough to do the things we want to do for our partnership. And it'll probably never be more than 20 people. For our diabetes practice, it'll be, we want to change 1 billion lives. Like it's, which means we're going to have a huge team. And so I think that making sure that you're only swinging at the thing you want for a leader is really important because, I'm not a baseball player, but I know that it's about 350 or 400 feet for a home run. You don't get extra points for hitting it 1,200 feet. So if
Right.
you're trying to hit it 400 feet, only swing for 400 feet. Don't swing for 1,200. You don't get anything extra for it, just more risk. Don't take unnecessary risk.
Yeah, that's a good point. So basically, it's really getting clear on what your goals are,
Yeah, for
where you want
sure.
to go, where you're headed. Because where you want to go, then you can determine, where you're headed and how to achieve that. So
That's right.
what's next for you all? Let's talk about goals. What are your big goals for the next 12 months, both with both of your companies, if you don't
Yeah, I
mind?
think absolutely for the consulting firm, we're really excited about bringing on a few new clients. My partner's got a couple of really exciting opportunities, and we're going to be doing some things where we can dive deeper into our organizations we work with using AI. And so we've got all this great opportunity to help make people better and to scale the professional development without adding a lot of cost, which is really great. So you're going to see a real democratization of information, I think, across uh, all of the leadership training that's happening. And so we're really, really excited about that. On the medicine side, we're doing something that's never been done in type 2 diabetes ever before. And so we're now talking to people about how to rewrite the way we practice medicine. So my partner's a medical doctor, my doctorate's in behavioral health, and we're actually writing clinical protocols that we think will actually create a new subspecialty of medicine that will really help people live longer, healthier lives and really take really sick patients and make them healthy quickly for less money.
Hmm. So you mentioned AI. So I would
Yeah.
love to get your opinion on looking ahead, or what your thoughts are when it comes to looking ahead into the future. How do you see the role of advisory evolving, especially as remote work, hybrid teams, AI, like you just mentioned, and changing generational priorities shift
Yeah.
team dynamics?
I think we're moving into a world where more personalization is available for jobs, for companies, big companies, small companies. And so I think you're going to see a lot of leveling of some of the playing fields with AI in a good way. And I think you're also going to see a lot of people trying to apply AI in ways that are not fruitful. And so I think people have to be very deliberate about how they're applying AI in their business for ways that make sense. And I think you've seen this in every kind of technological inflection point. You saw it in the internet where AOL didn't make it, Netscape didn't make it, but Google did. And so I think people are going to be really thoughtful about where and how they apply AI for sure.
If I could give you a magic wand, John,
Mhm.
and you could wave it on one challenge or issue you're having right now in achieving the goals that you want to have over the next year or so, and you can go poof on it. And what would that challenge be that you'd want to take away, and why?
How big is this magic wand? Is it big enough to solve really big problems?
It's, I don't know, it's a regular magic wand.
Yeah, I would give everyone in the world like triple the amount of empathy for other people that they have today. I think that would solve so many of my problems in business and so many problems in the world more broadly. And
Yeah.
so, what I talk to my teams about and my family about is like, how do we see issues from other people's point of view professionally? I just think it empowers people to be better communicators. More people get what they want, less friction in the world. Everybody wins together. Like, I would give everyone 3 times the amount of empathy.
I love that. It's the first time I've heard that answer. So thank you. And last question for you is, if we could bring you back in 12 months and revisit this conversation, what does success look like for you? And it could be for your consulting, or it could be for
Yeah.
both.
I think on the consulting world, everybody in the firm continues to walk on the path that they want to walk on. And in the medical practice, we're 10 times the size. And you can call me back in 12 months and see if that's happened.
Fantastic. So how do people reach out to you, John, and learn more about you?
Yeah, I think john.oberg@johnoberg.com or john.oberg@prosina.com. Either one's fine. Check out We Tell Stories of Abundance at a place called Tales of Abundance on our podcast. Come
Oh,
check us out. And yeah, it'd be really great to have you come join the movement.
I would love to, and definitely you all need to join them too. So go to check out Tales of Abundance, the podcast, and go to johnoberg.com and check him out there. And we're going to have all of Dr. John's links inside the show notes. So don't worry if you're driving, we've got you. If you're watching us on YouTube, thank you. We're grateful to have you here. Please leave a note below so Dr. John knows that you're here and can respond. And if you know of somebody that's listening that could be supportive by Dr. John's message here and the information he shared, please share this episode with them. The goal of this podcast is to support more businesses in growing and thriving. Most businesses fail within the first 5 years of opening their doors. We want to flip that number. If you're listening to us on your favorite podcast platform, thank you. We're grateful. And if you could leave a review, we'd love it. That helps us, the platforms, push the episodes out to more people so we can support more business owners in growing and thriving. I promised y'all a gift, so I'm not going to leave you without that. If you're looking to grow your visibility, Dr. John is thriving on referrals. It takes work to get to that point. So you need to know what's working for you and what's not working for you when it comes to your marketing strategies. If you're looking for new outside the box strategies, go to spotlight2scale.com/blueprint and you can go grab your Spotlight to Scale blueprint there. Dr. John, is there anything that you'd like to share or say that before I let you go as we wrap up that I didn't get to ask you or we didn't touch on today?
I'd say this for leaders out there: if you're experiencing any kind of conflict as we go through the world right now, there's only three things that actually are at the root of all conflict. There's a difference in values, difference in goals, and a difference in style. And so before you enter in, figure out which one of those three things that you're facing and then face it head on. If you don't know what to do, give me a call and certainly happy to help.
Yeah, reach out to him. Again, we have all the links in the show notes. Go to johnoberg.com, go connect with him. And he's a great guy, as you hear him here. Thank you, John, for being with us today. I appreciate your time. This has been fantastic. We've learned a lot about both of your businesses. So this has been a double blessing. Thank you all for listening to Dr. John and I today. And I look forward to seeing you on the next episode of the Business Growth Spotlight.